So, hello. It was nice to see you again. Nice to see your smiling face. You look good. So, this video is a little different because this is a sort of tutorial. Not sort of, it is a tutorial. And yeah, I started, as I had mentioned before, I wanted to incorporate more photo things and video things in my channel. This is the first step towards it. And I'm teaching how to make a cinematic edit from a normal biking video. Have fun. I hope you learned something. Good luck. So first things first, what you'll do is using an app called Splice. It is one that I found I'm most comfortable with. So you import your project. This is your basic timeline. This was the project that I did. I'm showing you the basic timeline. And yeah, you can see how simple it is. So you'll create your own project, new project, whatever name you want to give. Import your asset. This is your video, the one which we're doing. And you can see that what the first thing I do is I reduce the speed to 0.8%. Why? Because I shot this in 4K 30 frames per second, and reducing it to 24 frames per second, which is the 80% speed of it, will give you the most cinematic effect. Second thing I do is I find ambient noise, a forest ambient noise, because the scene obviously, and I add it. So I have an ambient noise. I cut it down short to the length and keep working with it. I see how it feels. If it just abruptly cuts, it will feel wrong. So I see there's no abrupt cuts or anything. And yeah, I reduce the volume because I don't want it to overpower the user. It's ambience, so keep it like in the back of your head, like a hint that you are in that place. What I do next is I extract sound from the video clip and I delete it. There are two ways of doing it. Either you go to the video itself and lower the volume to 0 from 100, or you extract sound, which is something new in this app. You extract sound from that video and you can either turn that to 0 or delete it altogether. It might take a bit of finessing to do to remove it, because I had a few issues while doing it. I did it for a couple of times, as you can see, and eventually I got it working. So trial and error. And yeah, now after all this, the one thing which makes a video cinematic is that aspect ratio of 2.33:1, which you see the black bars coming, and there's no such thing which I could do over here. So what I do is I use the text tool. I find two dashes and I align them such a way, and then I just make them bigger and I duplicate. You can either choose to do differently, like two different ones, or just duplicate the one big which you did. In my case, I did the second method. I just duplicated the one and deleted the first one. Try and error, because it is not a perfect size. Do what makes it comfortable and what makes it feel better or more cinematic per se. And yeah, and then after you do that, try using white, because the background color over here is black. So while aligning it, try using white, so it will give you a better perspective to see if you're doing it correctly. Make sure both of them are of the equal height and length, or else if not, then it'll create a slight disturbance even if they're off by half a millimeter. And when you're happy with it, just change the color to black. Now after changing them black, look at the video clip if you want. Make sure you're comfortable with the height and you like it and everything. And if everything's good, just export it. What I do is, this was shot in 4K and I want to keep the quality, so I'm exporting it in 4K at 24 frames per second because we lowered down the speed. 24 frames per second is the industrial standard for cinematic footage. It is what the human eye sees and feels more cinematic. Now for the next color grade or the color effect which I'm using for is an app called Unfold, and you just enter it. There are multiple templates, beautiful templates to use from. What I'm using is the free one, which is the CS1, the classic series. Go all the way down to find the blank template. It has none of the border or anything, so it will give you a clean slate to work with. You can change everything you want. At first it will be in a portrait orientation. Just rotate it with your hands, 2 fingers, and size it up correctly, and there you go. Now the next effect I use, or the filter I use, is the second one, and I use it because it makes the greens more towards the yellows and the yellows more toward orange, and it gives a desaturated look, which I feel is quite pleasing to my eyes. I increase the warmth a little to make it feel more sunny and warm and fuzzy. I change the tint to more towards green because looking at the scene you have more greens. You want more greens in them. You apply the edits and you save the video. And here you go.